Where do I begin? I guess I'll start by saying that I was never explicitly on the left, but I was never on the right either. I would say that temperamentally, I was always a bit more conservative, as a foundation especially. And I would entertain I would entertain ideas on the left that hadn't been quite tested yet. And part of that is because I was always sort of a creative soul, you know. I work in a creative field, so it's only natural. And I've always grown up and lived in democratic cities. I grew up in New York. I went to college in San Francisco. And I spent the rest of my adult life here in Los Angeles, City of Angels. Ain't no angels here though. Woo. And and so my story is more so about me having to navigate leftist circles, being who I am, having to maintain friendships with leftists, being who I am, and then realizing that that wasn't quite possible, being who I am. Not because I had a problem with who they were. I was always willing to be cool with them. But the same wasn't true the other way around. And so my story really begins, I suppose, in college. And this was probably in 2013, 14, around the time that Emma Watson spoke at the UN and talked about her he for she thing. And my reaction was, I had no problem with feminism yet. But my reaction was, he for she? What about she for me? She for he? Like, it rubbed me the wrong way. And whenever people ask me if I was a feminist, because that's when people started really talking about. I had a lot of friends who were Harry Potter fans, and so they ate up what she said, and they asked me, "Hey, are you a feminist?" And I would say, "No, I didn't think I could be. I thought guys couldn't be feminists, right?" And they would be like, "Oh my God, you're not a feminist? Why not? Oh my God, you're not a feminist?" And I thought, I didn't know guys could be. So whenever I answered that way, I was always met with a lot of antagonism, animosity. And so I changed my strategy. I would say, well, if they ask me, "Hey, are you a feminist?" I would say, "What do you think?" Right? I mean, you already know me. You know I'm not evil. You know I'm not cruel. You know I'm not, I was going to say asshole, but I'm kind of an asshole. I'm kind of a dick. You ever watch that movie Team America where he talks about dicks, a-holes, and poussoirs? And so I changed my strategy. You know I'm not cruel. You know I'm not evil. Do you think I'm, in your eyes, an ally to good? Right? And they would say, they would think about it. And they're like, "Yeah, you're a good person. You're like a feminist. You don't treat women poorly. You don't do any of that stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, then I don't care what you call me. Call me whatever you want. As long as you know I'm not a horrible person, then we're cool." And things escalated eventually. Partly because of the trans thing. where I would try to accommodate, and it was easy to accommodate. He to she to he, like me accommodating you if you're an adult, I don't care. Not really. But the neutral stuff and using they instead of because you were neither nor, and I didn't understand it. And I entertained it for like maybe a few days. That's my tea. Come on. It's still morning, so I need my fix. Anyways. Yeah, I had a problem with the neutral stuff. And so my first time, I messed it up because I couldn't keep up with the they thing. I got chewed out. Chewed out. And a lot of people who were my friends, well, let's just say I lost a lot of friends because of that. Don't worry, I'm not crying. I just got crap in my eye. I'm still tired. It's still morning. And, it was always a thing where I could always tolerate you. I don't care what your ideas are, really. Like, we can still talk, even if we have differences. But to them, I was a monster. And that's why it couldn't work, right? And even to this day, this was a long time ago. Even to this day, if they wanted to talk to me, I would talk to them. I could even be their friends. I wouldn't care. But they see me as a monster. I should play the race card. And then 2014, 2015, the shooting of Mike Brown became a thing. And I didn't know much about the details quite yet, but it didn't make sense to me that, well, I lived in Berkeley for a bit and people were protesting and rioting. And I thought, why are people breaking shit because a criminal, like, I knew that much. I knew he fought the police. So I thought, why are they breaking shit for him? It doesn't make much sense. And then Black Lives Matter became a movement officially. And the moment I heard the name, red flags went up. Because I thought, you can't name a movement Black Lives Matter and not expect to be divisive. On top of that, you can't hear the term All Lives Matter and see it as racist. If it's all inclusive, it was the most ass backwards thing to me. In the way that they would try to use mental gymnastics to justify all of it, I was like, y'all are a little off, right? So I was never pro BLM because the moment it came through, I was like, it's gonna divide people. So it's ineffective. And eventually I came around to these stats of how it isn't really targeted and really it's about other stuff, yada, yada. I'm not gonna get into that in this video. A lot of you probably already know. And so because of my thoughts on BLM, a lot of Black people didn't like me. No, they did not like me. And so my thoughts got me into a lot of trouble in San Francisco. So I thought, I'll move. So I thought, what would be less extreme than SF, but be close enough to where it's not too much of a change and I could still work in my field. So I came down to LA and it was a lot better. It's nowhere near as bad as the Bay. But there was a time within the first few months of my life in LA where I went to this bar in Hollywood with some friends called Tequila Bar, I believe it was. It's kind of an outdoor area, pretty chill. And I was talking to these strangers that I met. And we were talking about history, because that's what I do when I go to bars. And I happened to be talking about this one guy, I can't remember his name, but it was a historical figure who accomplished something, right? And this random Black woman interrupts me. I wasn't even talking to her. She wasn't part of the group. She just butted in and was like,
should be focused on the achievements of people of color.
And I looked at her like, what? And I told her, I don't care about the color of your skin. I care about human accomplishments. I don't care if you're black, white, purple. But she was on it. And then we got into it. Wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, screw it. And that was probably my first incident in LA where I had to deal with that kind of thing. Because one thing I realized is that the people who are like that are usually, well, I'll put it this way. From what I've seen, it seems that the people who are out working hard, making money, they're not really extreme. They might hold the ideas, but they're not spending their time talking about oppression and all this stuff. They just virtue signal here and there. But the people who are struggling and kind of failing and want to make excuses, they're loud. They're loud and they're passionate about this stuff. But eventually, I started working at a place, at an office setting. And they were very extreme. Very extreme. For example, because we had to keep up with trends, like media, social media, things like that, we would always have these group meetings like once or twice per week where we would go over these trends. And in one segment each week, we would go over things like the news. And this was during the campaign for 2016. So it was probably around 2015, early 2016. The news was always like, Trump this, Trump that, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, I had realized I was already aware of the media and what they were doing to manipulate stuff, because I saw what they were doing with the police shooting situations. You know, people just had the wrong ideas, like thinking that criminals were innocent, and how they would use nice photos of the criminals and not the mugshots to try and paint an innocent picture. So I was very distrustful of the media. And then when I saw how they were depicting Trump, I was like, huh, this is kind of weird. It's a little weird. But let me jump back a bit, actually, because before I had become aware of that, I was just casually following politics. I was never really political at that point. And when I heard from friends of how Bernie was, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Bernie sounds kind of cool. And then when I saw him in action, I was like, this guy's a hypocrite. Snake oil salesman. Because I would catch him in these lies where he would tell Trump to take ownership of these supposed extremists on the alt-right and these violent people or whatever. But he wouldn't take responsibility for anything on the left. So it was strange to me. And then he said that if you're white, you don't know what it's like to be poor. And I was like, what? This is this crap that I tried to leave in SF. So at that point, I was like, no, you're done. You're done. You're done. And then Hillary was up. And in my mind, I thought, I don't know if Trump can win. But he has to be the one to win because the media is dangerous. It's dangerous. Not only that, but the ideas that Trump was saying, I felt made sense. Like, he's talking about strong borders, no illegal immigration, things that have always been common sense to people. The main difference was that he was sort of bombastic. And he would say things aggressively, which I have no problem with. I found it funny and entertaining. But then these people would get so offended, not only that, but it would be taken out of context. And they would splice things a certain way. And I saw that right away. And I was like, these people are evil. It's so corrupt. The way that the media can change the way that they can decide when people get angry, essentially, right? And that alone was enough for me to say that Trump needs to win. So fast forward to the election. I was at work, we had the TV on. The people in the office, they were so afraid. Like,
I'm Jewish, I don't want to be put back into concentration camps. Oh, I'm gay, I don't want to be beat up by homophobes. Oh, I'm black, I don't want to be shot by the police every day.
you know, I was like, you guys? And slowly but surely, he won. And people went nuts. And I'm just sitting there like, everybody else lost their minds. And so I was happy. I didn't vote because of where I live. I thought, there's no point. I have stuff to do, I have work to do. I'm gonna focus on that. So let's fast forward to 2020, where things have gotten the left is crazy. They're insane. They've lost it completely. The left has lost the plot. I'm in a position currently where a lot of black people don't like me. A lot of women don't like me. Well, certain women don't like me. A lot of black people don't like me. So a lot of my friends aren't black. They're mostly white, European, because there are a lot of foreigners here in LA. And so often we hang out, we go out and meet people. And I get away with a lot because I'm black. Like if I say my thoughts to black people, they just look at me kind of perplexed. Like, how can you think that way? They're not going to be violent to me. They're not going to be too triggered. But if one of my friends who aren't black said what I said, they'd be like,
You racist!
And one of the things that I've concluded for myself is that I feel like a lot of mainstream black culture is a culture of low expectations, holding ourselves to a lower standard. For example, an easy one is probably the N-word. It's racist if white people say it, but not when black people say it. We just change the letter and it's cool. Meanwhile, we sell music to white people that says the word just so we can tell them not to say it. Now, the word is not a part of my vernacular. I don't care. But the way I see it, either everyone can say it or no one can say it. And as long as white people can't say it, why the hell would I ever say it? Why would I hold myself to a lower standard than white people like every other black person does? Sorry, not every other, but a lot, right? To me, it's more demeaning to say that they can't say it, but when we say it, it's cool. It's like, no, I'm not gonna hold myself to a lower standard. I think it's an overall culture on the left where they can hold themselves to low standards and be given opportunities without earning them. And I don't jive with that. Another example, we're seeing a bunch of riots, peaceful protests over a guy who was a career criminal. But if a career criminal got shot by the cops and he was white, we don't hear about it. No one cares because we know that they fought the police. Like, how come it's okay when that happens, but with black people it has to be a public affair? And to destroy the lives of peaceful people over it, and to justify it on top of that, is nuts. It's nuts. And one of the things I'm hearing so often is, well, property isn't as valuable as life. Which is so stupid. Because for one, it reduces property to mere objects. Property is more than objects. It's people's livelihood. It's their ability to move forward. And you can ruin lives that way. People can die in the long term if they lose their business. Depression, can't pay for medical bills. The list goes on. But they're so nearsighted. Not only that, but if life is more valuable than property, and you really believe that, then why don't you tell it to the rioters who are risking their lives to attack armed people who are defending the property? See? Holding law-abiding citizens to a higher standard than criminals. Holding the right to higher standards than the left. Come on. And it's not just the media, it's celebrities, right? Now, I'm by no means a churchgoer, but I believe that Christianity has a very poignant warning about this. Thou shalt not worship false idols. And yet, people on the left prop up these celebrities constantly. LeBron James, he strikes me as a race hustler. He and Al Sharpton, but race hustlers. Cardi B, like she interviews Joe Biden, hangs out with Bernie. And in her interview with Biden, she ends a question with, like, what? Huh? Oh my God, she is gross. I would not touch her with the air between us. And that says a lot. That says a lot about the left, man. It says a lot. And now we've got this Kyle Rittenhouse situation, which says a lot. Well, it exposes a lot about what's going on. The way that the media was so quick to paint him as a white supremacist out to kill people, when in fact he's registered as a Hispanic, so he's probably half Hispanic, and he killed white criminals in what looks to be self-defense. And they just ran with all of these really uncharitable narratives so quick, and people just ate it up without question, to the point where they're not going to look back at the correct facts after the fact. They've already made up their minds. And over a kid on top of that. This is Covington all over again. And it's funny because a lot of those people who I saw freak out over Trump's victory, they saw the Covington incident, and when it came out that the kid was innocent, they were like, oh wow, the media's fucked up. But then they quickly forgot about it. It's like they acknowledge it and move on as if things are gonna be normal. No. And so people are slandering a kid before all the facts are out. But innocent until proven guilty, right? And here's the thing. People are saying, don't put Kyle on a pedestal. Don't call him a hero. And I think there's a bit of nuance that needs to be put to that. He's not... If when the facts come out in their totality and he's innocent, he's not going to be a hero for killing criminals. He'll be a hero for putting his life on the line to provide medical aid and protection to his community, and for not letting himself get killed in the process. It's not the fact that he killed that is heroic. It sucks that they died. It sucks for them. Sucks for their loved ones. But they brought it on themselves. right? At this point, it seems like even if Kyle were to be guilty of something, they still brought it on themselves. So, where's their accountability? I see it, we see it, but they don't. And that's why the media is so dangerous. In the past, I would, speak a bit about it in my personal life to people around me. But I was mostly too busy living my life, doing what I need to do to be incredibly proactive. I try to be active in my own life and just let people do their thing. But now I feel like we've come to a point where things have tipped so far into the extremes that those of us who are sane need to speak up. And that is the crux of why I'm making this video and why I'm going to keep making more videos. So that is the long and short of why I've walked further away from the left and why I think other people should too, and call them out. There are things I want to do to help get the message out. So I hope you guys stick around. And I hope we can have a dialogue. So leave your stories in the comments. If you have opinions about what I said, what I went through, share those as well. Share the video, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. And let's beat the left. I'll see you guys.